So I caved. I went and did it. I went and got Now TV so that I could watch The Last of Us. And was it worth it? Was it worth doing it? The hell it was. Oh my god, this series is amazing. Oh my god. It is just like the game. Now, I was one of the people that went out and got the game when it first came out because I thought it looked quite good. And I was blown away by this game. It's kind of the last game I actually properly played on a console. Not because like it was so good if you could get beaten or because like I didn't like it. It was because I kind of stopped getting into video games and stuff like the old computer games, and also I was getting there was enough time for me to play a computer game because games take a lot of time, and I don't have time for that with work and family and kids and everything else I'm trying to do. I never really have time. But this one was so worth. Like the game was just amazing. One of the best stories of any game I've ever played. I mean, that maybe Arkham, like the Arkham Batman games, especially the first two were great, but this is literally the best game I've ever played. No, actually, yeah, I will say it is the best game I've ever played because it had such an intense story, and I do like story, and the character, it was very character driven, and it was just so much fun to play. It was horrific at times to play as well. It really got you into it. And the way they did atmosphere in that game was phenomenal. So, of course, then I find out that they're making a TV show, and I'm like, this could be good, except the fact that every time they've ever tried to make anything out of a game, it's kind of gone a bit pear shaped, isn't it? Like it's not like I remember back in the day when like the Mario Brothers movie came out or the Street Fighter movie came out with Van Damme, and you thought, oh, Van Damme's going to be in a Street Fighter movie. Then you watch the film, it's awful. Or like the Mortal Kombat movie, it still was nowhere near as good as the game. Like I said, the Mario Brothers, oh my god, it was nothing to do with the game. But you live in hope. And then, like, when they announced who was going to be playing, like, Joel and Ellie, again, I was like, oh, I don't think that's going to work because to me, Joel needs to be a lot bigger, a lot gruffer, a lot scarier. And Ellie kind of doesn't look the way Ellie looks. And they're both from Game of Thrones. And I'm just going to be thinking they're from Game of Thrones. So. And he's the Mandalorian. Is that just going to get him my nerves a bit? The fact that I know he's the Mandalorian. So I kind of went in a bit apprehensive. And I said wasn't originally going to get Now TV. But then all I heard was this is the best thing since sliced bread as far as TV goes. This like TV game adaptation is phenomenal. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna spend $6.99 a month for 6 months because that's the deal that Now TV are doing at the minute to watch The Last of Us. And part of me's thinking I kind of want it to be bad, so I don't go for and like have to wait for season two and keep Now TV to season two, paying even more money. But another part of me like was really wanting it to be good because I'm just desperate for it to be good. And oh my god, it was fantastic. There was not a single thing about this that I didn't like. They've they've done something really that doesn't really happen. They've actually stayed very true to the game, and I didn't expect that to be that true to the game. Um, Literally, it's beat by beat the game. There's a few things they've tweaked and added, like the opening with the sort of professor talking about the ants and the real life story of this fungus because it is a true thing. The fungus is real. Only sort of affects the insect world and stuff like that, which I'm quite like. I'm interested in that sort of stuff anyway. So I've known about this for years, even before the game came out, about this fungus. It's just phenomenal. Um, and yeah, they didn't let us down at all. I mean, the acting was on form, the story was there. I said every beat of this game is in this show. So let's get to talk about the first episode. Okay, I had to move a bit away from the TV there because the way I was crouched down was really killing my legs. So, the first episode of The Last of Us was fantastic. Kept very true to the game. So, we're going to go through now and what happened in it. And I'll try and remember everything because I'm not very good at remembering stuff. It goes all phasey. So, basically, we open up with this like TV studio interview with these two scientists talking about pandemics. And this was very clever because it kind of puts us in the now because obviously we've all been through the pandemic. We know what that was all about. And then they start talking about like other possible dangers, and the guy talks about these fungus and the spores from the fungus, and how they infect ants, which is, as I said, is true. I love all this sort of nature stuff, and that's something I knew about even before I played the game that this was a thing. And they're talking about how the ants get taken over by this fungus. It controls them to go on and produce the spores and stuff. It keeps them alive. It continues eating them, and then like replaces their tissue with its tissue and stuff. And it relates it to penicillin. And they do this really clever bit where they say, he says, imagine if like the temperature rises, that this fungus will evolve, and that's how we get this game and how we can link it to our world today. And I thought that was so clever that they did that, especially because it kind of plays on our fears now, because we've all, hello, he just woke up. We've all been through that pandemic, so we know what that's like. So very well done for the TV show for doing that, adding that little bit there. And it had the guy from The Mummy as well as one of the scientists. And I think the other scientist was from Twilight. He's one of the sort of older, miserable vampires. But so yeah, we go on from there, and then we go to sort of like, I think it's 2003, and obviously these spores have evolved. But we do this lovely thing at first where you see Joel and his daughter and their relationship and how like close they are, and like the fact that Joel is working all the hours God sends to try and like support his family and stuff, because obviously time's hard by his family, I mean him and his daughter, and his brother lives with him and works with him too. So we get to see a fun moment where Ellie goes outside with Joel, and the next door neighbours are wanting to come over, and like, so obviously they get on with her and talk to her. They're sort of an older couple, but they live with their mum as well, who's like obviously old like lady, sort of granny type, who's a little bit suffering from dementia by the looks of it. So then we see them, and Joel's daughter said, look, she's going to go over there after. I think her name was Sarah, but I'm not 100%. But said he's going to go over there after and see her and stuff, and it's going to be quite just make them happy, next door neighbours happy. So we sort of fast forward. Sarah goes into town. Please, if her name's not Sarah, I'm really sorry. But she goes into town and she gets Joel's watch fixed for his birthday. It obviously means something to him, the watch, so she gets it fixed for him for his birthday. And then she goes to visit the neighbours, and then we see a real good scene, which I think is brilliant. It was where she's looking at the DVD collection, and while she's looking at the DVD collection, the granny starts to twitch behind her and tweak a bit, like you can see it in the background, where obviously the spores are taking over her mind and stuff. And then we sort of move on. She leaves and goes home. So a little bit later on, Joel comes in really late from work, and his daughter gives him the birthday present, and they're all happy and enjoying themselves. Oh, Brody's coming back. Here he is. They're all happy and enjoying themselves. That is very nice Lego figure. And then Joel gets a phone call that his brother's been arrested for having a fight in a bar, and he's got to go bail him out. So Joel then goes off, says he'll be back soon. His daughter goes to sleep, and then when she wakes up, she hears a noise outside. It's the dog from next door. So she tries to take the dog back in. The dog legs it and runs away. She sees the doors open, goes in to find the grandma is attacking and like biting her two, like, I want the daughter and a son-in-law or whatever it is. And she looks up at the door and she goes for her, and she runs out. And it's a really scary thing because the sort of erratic movement of the woman and stuff like that. It is a very scary scene. So she runs out of the house. As she runs out, Joel's coming back with his brother. They dive out of the car, and Joel just takes a wrench and whacks the granny around the face of it and like kills her. So obviously Joel was spotted on the way home from the prison, or from the sheriff's office, wherever it is, that all hell is breaking loose, that people are going mental and trying to kill each other and stuff like that because of these spores and stuff. So now we know that, we then sort of go on this like mad dash where they're trying to get out of town and away from people to get away from all this. And we get the cool POV shot from the game where you're in the car and you're just looking around out of the windows and you're seeing craziness just escalating more and more and more until there's a plane crash and they get knocked off the road. And this is the bit that sort of in the game shocked the hell out of me, because I didn't know it was coming. And I'm sure if anyone's not played the game, exactly. If anyone's not played the game and just seen this series for the first time, it's going to shock the hell out of them too. Because Joel starts running off with his daughter because she's hurt her leg in the accident. She's running off. They get separated from Tommy, that's Joel's brother, and they like run and run and run. Then the soldier suddenly stops them, puts a gun to them, and gets told by whoever he's on the walkie-talkie to kill them. So the guy shoots at them. Joel falls down a hill, manages to sort of duck out of the way, falls down a hill, and then Tommy comes along, shoots the soldier to try and sort of stop him from getting killed. And then like we think, oh, everything's okay. They're both okay. And you turn around and the daughter's been shot, and she's like dying, and she dies in Joel's arms in a properly emotional scene. And they nailed it in this as well. I felt emotional, even though I knew it was going to happen because obviously I said I played the game more than once, but it still got me because it was done really well. And the way the daughter died, it's not a nice like, oh, it's dying, I'm dying. It was, she's in agony when she's dying, and Joel's just holding on to her for dear life, and that obviously gives us that like pain of Joel. Then we fast forward 20 odd years later, and the world's just gone to crap. Really, there's not the sort of the government are trying to keep people in these little like almost like camps within the city, trying to control this sort of outbreak. You see them like you see that is another heartbreaking scene of the little girl that's walking through the sort of like outside the town walls, and they end up killing her because she's infected. And then you see later on Joel burning the bodies and stuff, like he's just doing any job he can to like make money. And he's also, you know, he's been dodgy in the past because everyone seems to be afraid of Joel, like they know him by reputation as someone sort of you back away from. So then we, sorry about that, my blinking phone battery just died on me. So where were we? Joel's in the town, and they really do a good job of showing you the sort of world now here, and how they're sort of under control of like the government, I suppose, and they're being kept in these like zones under military sort of rule, and they're actually hanging people for trying to leave the zone. So I think they're trying to keep the quarantine sort of thing the way they're trying to do it. Um, so yeah, this world it's not a very nice place to live in. Sort of everyone's kind of scared, under control, and sort of things. And we get to meet Joel's partner as well at this point, where we sort of see her. She's sort of like very much like him. They're both very sort of like, I suppose you could call them sort of like gangstery types, where they're sort of they do jobs and nasty work that you really don't expect like people in this sort of day and age to be doing and that. So they're a bit dodge, and they're trying to get hold of a car battery, and they have a big row. You see sort of his partner having a row with this bloke trying to get hold of his car battery, and then there's a terrorist attack by the Fireflies. Now the Fireflies is like freedom fighter group that were trying to change the world and make it oppressive and stuff. So it's it's very good in that sense because you're getting a sort of like look at this world that we now live in. Sorry about that. This world that we now that these people are living in that's really harsh, and how they're terrified of the infected because like we see like obviously Joel disposing of these bodies and stuff. So it's not very nice. It's done like in front of people and that, and it's just horrific. So we sort of know that. So then we get to meet Ellie for the first time, and Ellie is this young girl who's been shackled to a thing, and they're doing like tests on her, but like not like scientific tests. They're sort of testing her, like. Oh, 1 second, my son's gone walkabout. Yes, they're doing tests on Ellie, sort of like you would drunk driving test. So they're basically getting her to like count to 10, and then you get to see what Ellie, the girl who's playing Ellie, has got such a attitude about her, and it's perfect for the Ellie character. It's just like she was in the game, where she's got a proper attitude. Like she's a tough girl. She's surviving in this world. You know, she's been born into this world, and it's horrible. So she's very much a product of the world where she's got attitude. She's got fight in her, and she's giving all the mouth back and that. And they sort of walk, and they're satisfied that she's obviously not turning. So then you get one of the leaders of the Fireflies turn up, and they talk about how important she is and stuff, and how they need to get her somewhere safe. So what they do is they've got this plan where they want to get Ellie somewhere safe, and at the same time Joel is trying to find his car batteries. So Joel and his partner end up going to the place where Ellie's being captured to find that they've all been like attacked and shot and stuff. There's been a big fight in there. So Ellie comes running out of a door and tries to stab Joel. Joel takes her down, and then the leader of the Fireflies, who knows Joel and is part of the reason why Joel isn't speaking to his brother Tommy anymore, and we sort of don't really know the complete backstory, but we're guessing that's what the falling out was over, sort of Tommy's work with the Fireflies. So we've now got a situation where the head of the Fireflies has been shot. the people that were going to get to transport her somewhere else, which we later find out in the game anyway that it's to a scientist place. They can't transport anymore because Arthur's been killed. So it's like she asks Joel if he can do it, and she promises him stuff if he does it. And Joel's kind of slightly reluctant at first because it means them trying to escape the sort of the holding that they're kept in by the soldiers and stuff, trying to get through that. But they're on their way to do it. So they decide they're going to help and take Ellie to this scientific place. And they're still not sure why and what they're doing it for, but they've been told that's what they've got to do. And they agree to do it for what they're promised from the Fireflies and stuff. So we sort of see them move on. There's a bit of banter between Ellie and Joel. Obviously, Ellie's still got the attitude, and Joel's like having none of it. And Joel's partner's quite standoffish with her as well. And they're very cold people. Like, the world has made them very heartless and cold. So then we sort of see them back home, and Ellie's talking to Joel about the music thing, how she's cracked his code that different decades of music means different things. Like the 80s is like, oh my god, all hell's breaking loose. And she's reading like a book about like songs from the sort of past. And then like they obviously decide to go. They start off on their move to get out of the city, and they sort of get through like the back ways through, and Joel bumps into the security guard that he met earlier. And I think I forgot to tell you about this bit, but yeah, earlier you see Joel dealing drugs basically to the security guard. And they seem to have a semi-good relationship because the security guard warns him not to leave the city. It's important he doesn't go out anywhere after curfew that night. So the guard stops him, and he's like, right, okay, like, and Joel's like, just let us go. Like, you don't need to worry about this. It's like nothing to worry about. And the security guard is like, no, like, you're staying where you are. I've got to test you all for the spores. So obviously the fungus have spores. So they do a little test by, like, I guess, taking some of their blood from their neck to see if there's spores in you. And he does it on, like, Joel's partner. He does it on Joel, and then he does it on Ellie. And the thing goes off. It goes red as if, like, they've spotted the spores. What are you up to? My son is trying to rip my phone. No, they got to leave that there. He's trying to pull my plug out now. I can't because my battery's died. Yeah, so Joel's now. So then obviously they all turn to Ellie like, what the hell is going on? As soon as the security guard sees it's a red light, it means she's infected with this fungus, these spores. He puts a gun on her, and then Joel has a flashback to his daughter. And then we just see Joel snap. He just rushes this security guy, smashes him to the floor, and just pummels him over and over again. Now, you know he kills the guy with his bare hand, just beats him to death. By punching him to death. Gets up, and obviously the partner's like, oh my god, Joel, she's infected. We have to get rid of her. We can't take her. We've just got to like dump her. While Ellie's screaming at them like, no, I'm not infected. And she pulls her sleeve and says, look at this bite. It's healed. I'm not infected. I don't have this thing. Like, I'm immune. And like, please, this is where we have to go. And with that, they're sort of looking at each other. And they decide like, well, we've just killed a guy. We're standing in the middle of the rain. There's probably security coming in at any moment now. We've got to go. So they just basically all decide to leg it with Ellie through this fence. And they see him get through the fence. And that's where the episode ends. And the weird thing, and this is really weird, is that when I first played that game, when I first bought it, it was quite late after I got back from work. I said I only play the game for like an hour. I ended up playing for quite a few hours. And that is the point of the game where I stopped for the very first time. So I remember being so desperate to get back to it after. And it's weird how that's exactly where episode 2 stops. Or episode 1 stops, sorry. And I was just like, that's mad. Because I remember vividly, that is where I first stopped the game. To sort of go to bed. Because I was tired. I should have gone to bed hours before that. But that was kind of ironic. To me, that's really ironic. And then, so they go through the fence, and the last shot you see is of the city, sort of, that they've gone out here. They've left their sort of safe, well, not really safe, but their zone protected by the military, and they've gone out into the world. And you see like a building's collapsed. It's got ivy growing up it, and all. Basically, a lot of plant life has reclaimed a lot of the city, and this is what you see as like a theme throughout the thing, that the plant life has regained everything back. And then you see like lightning flash. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but I have since seen a photo of it, that you can see a clicker like roaring on one of the buildings. It's only really tiny. So say this whole thing that you're looking at me now is the sort of what you see on the screen. The clicker is somewhere sort of about here, and it's about this tiny, and you see it just sort of roaring into the sun, making it's like noise that they make. So my thoughts on the first episode was they pretty much nailed. Sorry, trying to be attached to a wire and not have my son's head in the way. They nailed pretty much everything. I really want to see clickers up close. I've seen like photos of them online when they first bring out the show, but I really want to see them online now and see what they look like when they're in the show. We've seen like glimpses of them in the trailers, but a proper full-on like seeing what it's like. I'm really looking forward to that sort of underground. It's sort of like a shopping centre underground sort of thing, or a train station. That I'm looking forward to that, because I remember that bit took me ages to get through, where you first meet the clickers and you're using Joel's senses to sense where the clickers are and stuff, and you can hear them clicking. Because that took me a long time to get past that bit of the game, because it was bloody hard, and I'm really looking forward to that part of the game, seeing this in this TV show, that part. And if they can get the atmosphere of how creepy it was. So I remember being on edge playing that game, and I really want to be on edge watching this show as well. So I'm looking forward to that bit. And I'm also looking forward to the future episode where they're in the school trying to get the car battery for the other guy. That's going to be a good bit as well, because when you meet the giant big clicker. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So there's a lot I'm looking forward to with this show. From what if it to go by the first episode, what's to come is going to be brilliant. Like, and especially when we get to the ending, because obviously I already know what's going to happen at the end. I don't think they're going to have changed the end at all. They haven't changed much from this show. They've added bits, but I think they've made that relevant, and it's what they've added has made it relevant to now, and sort of make it connect to everyone now. This is a show that when you've played the game, you're getting things from that, like certain dialogue is very similar to the game, and it kind of makes you remember playing that game. But if you haven't played the game, you're still going to get something out of this show. You're still going to get like a lot out of this show. For just having played the game, like see Easter eggs and things, but you don't need that, because the story is so good, the acting is really good, and I literally cannot wait for Monday for this to come again. Now, hopefully, he says, I'm going to try and do one of these videos every Monday after I've watched the show, that are going to be like talking about what I thought of that episode. So I'm hoping it's going to be like a series of videos I'm going to do now. Sorry about that. I did it for the Del Toro series, Cabinet of Curiosities, because like every episode was very different, and I liked the fact I could talk about every one after I watched it. This way, I'm kind of looking forward to this, because it's going to be a long-running show. I'm going to see how the characters evolve, and what I'm hoping is like what happened in the game, where you see the relationship between Joel and Ellie evolve as the closer they get, and the more it becomes sort of father-daughter-y, with that sort of want to protect. I'm hoping we get that from this show, and I hope they do it the right way, where it's not suddenly like in one episode suddenly he's like, oh no, I'm like your dad now. I want it to be such a subtle, slow build to that, because that's what makes it, and like that's what makes the ending of the game so impactful. And I hope it's what I really hope that's what they do in this TV show, where they make the ending as impactful as that game was, where it twists at the end, and you're just like, what did you just do? My son's pushing buttons on the old speaker system thingy, and it's trying to beep at him. He's just randomly pushing buttons now. Yeah, so I'm really hoping this does play out the same way the game did, because that was a phenomenal. I remember when I see that, they should make a movie of this, but TV show's just as good nowadays, isn't it? Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little chat about The Last of Us episode 1. All right, and yeah, and I hope you come back for episode 2. We talk about that. Bye. All right, see you later, guys. Bye. What have you done? How have you done that? Stay tuned for episode 2, and we'll say goodbye. And you might not even be in the next one. Bye, everyone. Bye.